and welcome to another edition of Sports by Compian. I am, of course, your host, Stephen Compian, joined here by probably our new co-host, Dan Gill, is once again here on the show. How are you, Dan? You're looking fucking cool, dude.
I'm great, buddy. Don't know if I've hit co-host status yet, but I enjoy being a regular.
Well, we love having you, Dan. It's truly a treat. The fans love it. We love it. You got large amounts of knowledge, and even we're an insider for us this weekend as the XFL took their very first kickoff of their second season. Exciting times. The Rock got out there, spewed some nonsense, got the crowd fired up, and it started out with the Renegades at the Vegas Vipers. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, going into this game real quick, this was the one where we saw Luis Perez had like a million opportunities to win this game and decided it would be best not to. So he sort of let the Renegades hang around until they found a way to get back into the game and ultimately ended up winning. As you can see, basically by the final score, they scored 19 points in the second half, and the Vegas didn't score any, or 6. Dude, I don't know if you noticed this, but through week 1 of the XFL, just shitloads of interceptions, tons of sacks. I guess it's to be expected as the teams are getting used to things that the defense is going to shine. But holy cow, man! Pretty much all these games, the defenses all looked very good. The Renegades didn't do much on passing. They kind of kept it safe.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you got to think this is technically tier 2, but it's kind of like year 1 all over.
Yeah.
So, it's not like they were playing with each other the last couple of years to kind of build that cohesion. So I think, as they get more time together, you're going to see it, start to gel a little better. And
look, I didn't see much of a run game going on anywhere, and run game is very much one of those things the offensive line all has to be on the same page, right?
I mean, I agree, but I would say that. So I know we'll get to this a little later, but I was at the DC Defenders Seattle game on Sunday night, but I thought Seattle did a pretty good job running the ball, though. All things considered, compared to what we saw a lot of the places. So I did think they moved the ball pretty well when it came to running.
They probably were the best.
Yeah, no, I mean, probably, yeah. But I mean, yeah, everybody's kind of feeling it out. I think some of the little caveat rules, kind of whether or not teams are going to try to implement them or not, because you can make a double forward pass as long as you're behind the line of scrimmage. I don't know if it kind of changes how you do certain coverages or whatnot. But yeah, and the thing is, you're going to have I don't want to say it's going to be like when you see some of these college games where, you see the guys that are clearly going to the NFL versus guys that probably aren't. Within the XFL, you have higher caliber guys and lower caliber guys. So, they're still trying to figure out what their level of play is right now. I think that's the biggest part of it right now.
Well, I think it's interesting that there's enough guys who are still want to play professional football to roster all 6 of these teams, all 6 of the USFL teams. I'm sure there's some Europe leagues still going on. I love the aspect of all these guys still being able to play football and make some money off of it. That's cool.
I mean, the fact that we have, absolutely. I mean, and the fact that we have 16 summer league teams in the U.S. between the USFL and the XFL is pretty astonishing.
Pretty cool.
And I'm sure we'll probably get into this next week. I haven't really had a chance to look at it, but today the USFL had their inaugural draft. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm sure the XFL will get to that at some point, but
we should have. I didn't know that was happening. Yeah, we should definitely have a look at that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some names you might recognize, others you don't.
Right.
So you're right. It's nice to see that there is.
And they're usually young dudes who are getting this chance. So it's pretty cool.
And I think the draft is a good thing because it'll guys that that probably will make training camp or make practice squads or less will just probably rather be drafted into this and play.
Yeah.
Build up. But no, I mean, I thought all the 4 games this weekend were fantastic.
Do we have any idea what these guys are making?
Yeah. I know they get a bonus if they win. Because everybody gets the same amount, and then you get bonus if you win.
That's smart.
So that way it keeps the competitive,
The
edge
juices,
to it.
yeah, for sure. Well, while you look that up.
Yeah, let me double check because I forget.
Well, this game was close as hell, and then you know what? A lot of people are using those new rules. We'll get to the Battlehawks game, which obviously was purely based on those rules, and how they were able to find enough time to still win that game. But if you look at this, like some of the stats, you're seeing, the Vipers probably should have had a good chance of winning this. They had more yards per play, about the same amount of first downs.
They were really moving the ball well. It really was those 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
That cost them. I know one of them got brought back for a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean they lost the turnover battle pretty bad.
Granted, it happens, right? But I think that kind of ended up being the killer for them. So,
dude, I think it was like, I don't know if it was this game, but I remember seeing the highlights and seeing literally in 2 different games, like back-to-back interceptions. Like one guy throws an interception and the other guy throws it right back to the other team. Yeah. I've only really seen that in Madden, and now I've seen it twice in 1 week. It was like, what is going on with these quarterbacks, man? Holy shit! I honestly thought the best guy. We'll get to it here. So that's the Renegades Vipers. Let's just skip ahead to this one real quick because that Orlando one was kind of a blowout.
That one just was not good.
Well, I mean, the thing with that one
wasn't good. It was just
to say about that one
gelling so well.
Houston was looking good, and I think they were taking advantage of the mistakes of Orlando because Orlando didn't look terrible, but their problem was they just kept on making stupid mistakes every time they got going. Yeah,
well, and they went through 2 quarterbacks that night.
Yeah,
they bench Paxton Lynch.
All right, yeah, let's go back to them real quick, and we'll go over that one. Real quick. He looked terrible. He looked so bad.
The other guy threw a couple picks.
All right, so Paxton only threw 1, but man, he was looking terrible. 6.5 yards per average. Oh man, he looked exactly like he did again.
And they got sacked 7 times, so it's like.
Yeah, the other guy threw 2 interceptions. Yeah, that's right. I think it was the other one. It was the Battlehawks game where they just were getting sacked like every other play, but they still somehow managed to win. But yeah, I mean, you can't have 3 interceptions and expect to win. Brandon Sievers tried his best to keep him in it with 2 interceptions of his own, but at least he threw for 274 yards. Yeah, you're right. 7 sacks. That's a good night for the Roughnecks. Yeah, weren't they kind of like undefeated, sort of on their way to winning last time when this all got shut down?
Yeah, they were definitely one of the top teams last time around. So it looks like they're picking up where they left off.
Good for them.
Now, something I did find, as I was looking through a lot of these rosters, what they did was guys that were on the teams in 2020 they didn't assign them back to those teams. So
really? So you could end up somewhere else?
Yeah, so some of them ended up everywhere else because they just did a whole new draft all over again. So
the Vipers stuck with Perez. They must have liked what they saw from him because I remember I was kind of had picked the Vipers as my team because they're Tampa Bay and now they're over in Vegas, so now I'm a free agent. But I do remember Luis Perez was their quarterback last time too, so they must really like whatever they see from that kid.
Yeah, so. All things considered, there, Houston just is.
So yeah, maybe this was just a tough game for the Guardians. Maybe they will figure it out and get back together. What do you do if you're at quarterback, though? Do you go with Quentin, who at least gave you a couple more yards and looked a little more dangerous, but threw 1 more interception? Or do you go back to Lynch, who you rolled into the season as a starter with?
See what comes out of practice.
Yeah, right? Man, good old Lynch, I don't know what it is about that guy. He was never good. I don't think there's been a single game that I've seen of Paxton Lynch have been like, that's a good quarterback right there. That's a dangerous guy.
No, I was curious how he got so hot out of Memphis in college, where that team came from. It didn't work out for him in Denver. It didn't work for him in the USFL. Now it's not working in the XFL. I believe he also played in the Canadian Football League, and that didn't work.
Did he play in the USFL too? I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I read that he's the first quarterback to be benched in the NFL, CFL, USFL, and XFL.
Wow. Damn, dude.
That's rough.
That's rough, but he's also probably making some decent money. It's probably also he's probably sleeping in a nice house somewhere. Like, yeah, this sucks, but you know.
So the guys get paid $5,000 a week, and then they get a $1,000 bonus if they win.
Okay.
Per win. So they can earn a minimum of 60.
Well, no, I mean it would be a minimum of 20 for the month.
Yeah,
and then potentially 4. So maybe 20 and maybe to 24, which is good money. It's not knock your socks off money, but it's good.
Yeah, so it's a max of 60.
What is that? Is that like 250,000 a year or so?
Well, no. So it's.
Oh, but they're not going to play all 12 months, obviously. So right.
Right. No. So it's a max. It's a max of 60 grand, minimum of like 50.
Okay.
So if you lose all your games, yeah.
Well,
it's good. I like the incentivized winning thing.
Absolutely. Best way to keep them excited about it, for sure. But yeah, the Roughnecks are looking dangerous once again. Who's their quarterback over here again? Brandon Sievers. I do think I remember that guy from the 2020 season. Max Duggan got himself a nice touchdown, or Brogan. Anyway, so yeah, moving on to this one, which was absolute insanity. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I actually thought this guy or Benvenucci, I thought the Bahamas guy, this Jack Cohen, or Danucci actually looked the best out of all the quarterbacks. His
Adrian McCarron looked good though.
Dude, Adrian McCarron was getting sacked like the fucking toilet. Like it looked like every 2 seconds. It only turned out to be 5, but he looked like he was just getting sacked. Like at one point, the commentator was like, he didn't even have time to get that back foot set, and it really did look like that. Like he got the ball and just hit it like immediately. I was like, how is it even possible?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, he was definitely getting sacked, but I still thought he looked good. You know, especially those 2 drives down the field at the end of the game. Like that was some textbook stuff there. And I love the scoring.
It was, dude. This scoring system made this game, and that's what was cool to see.
No, absolutely. I mean, the fact that you have 9-point plays now is great. And you know what? You know, the NFL is so worried about the safety and everything, which I'm not knocking it. Why don't they adopt that 4th and 15 rule from your own 25?
Just
instead of doing the onside kick. Like the 4th and 15 is not a gimme. So like,
I like it.
Worried about these guys crashing into each other,
dude. Patrick Mahomes on 4th and 15 is going to be fucking dangerous. They could just decide they're not going to let the other team on the field and just like keep Patrick Mahomes out there the whole fucking game, or vice versa. You want to beat Patrick Mahomes, keep him off the field. Just keep converting on 4th and 15, man.
Yeah, I think the 4th and 15 rule only though applies in the 4th quarter if you're trailing.
Oh, okay.
So you can't do it every time. Like
gotcha.
If you want an onside kick earlier in the game, I think you can. But the 4th and 15 is only in the 4th quarter if you're trailing.
Got it. But no, you're right.
Because yes, there would be people that would be able to pull it off every time.
So you're right. AJ McCarron probably had the best week. Of all the stats we've seen so far, this is the best. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's probably the only starting quarterback who didn't throw an interception.
Yeah, 190, 2 touchdowns.
No one will throw in all that many. Sievers is the only one who has a beat, I think, by a lot, with like 272.
Yeah, I mean, definitely passing was not at a premium for sure, but he still looked pretty steady.
There was a couple blown coverages. Like the Vipers had a blown coverage, and the dude was just wide open all by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, again, right now, it's just everybody's filling out the systems, trying to figure that all out.
But yeah, honestly, I was impressed with what I saw for both of these quarterbacks. I kind of thought that Bahamas deserved to win this game. Obviously, they didn't do enough offensively, and they couldn't. They had like 2 costly turnovers. So that interception, I think, was in the red zone, and then there was a fumble, which I believe was also in the red zone. So those were 2 very costly turnovers for them. But their defense played great. You know, they tried their damnedest to make this a win for them.
No, I'm excited to watch some of the Brahmas games.
Brahmas, huh? I'm calling them Bahamas. The Brahmas, okay.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, it's kind of named after the Rock's old wrestling name.
Okay.
Their logo is actually the tattoo that used to be on his arm.
It looks like it, yeah, now that you mention it. That's hilarious, dude. We're just watching the Rock's leak.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I love, like, I said this last show, I think. I love that they put a team in San Antonio because it did so well under the AAF. And, I mean, like, they had a good crowd there.
Yeah, the crowd did look really. That was, I think, probably the only game I saw that I was like, wow, this crowd's really committed to, like when the Brahmas scored, like, they were excited.
Yeah, I mean, they were excited, but, I mean, I get that they only sold the lower bowl, but still, it's the Alamo Dome.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of seats, though.
That's a decent amount of seats. Well, that's good to hear. I hope they continue to rock. I might have to do my best.
Like I said, it's worth your trip down to St. Louis, I think.
I gotta get some of the boys to go with me.
No, absolutely, get the boys to go with you. But no, it was good. That's for sure. I do wish though that they would, like, in their recaps they would put the attendance, because I haven't found it in there.
Maybe they're embarrassed about it right now, or it's not quite big enough that they want to be advertising it.
Well,
dude, there's a couple things. Like, I went to their website like during games, and like, why do you not have like all their games like how the NFL has, like, posted up there? What's going on? Easy access to click on that game and see what the hell is happening. Like, dude, I had to like go to schedule, go to and now this little tiny box off to the right, view game center to get to what we're looking at now. It's like, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Come on, Dad. You should know better than this.
I mean, again, they're just trying to get things set up right now, I think.
But it's week one, and you guys have had this for like 2 years to get it set up. It's not like it's hard to set up a box where it's showing the scores and what's happening.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think, yeah.
And none of the headlines were about games. It was about like promotional bullshit, like, oh, the Rock this or whatever. Like, why aren't you talking about the games that just happened yesterday? Why aren't you talking about the games to come?
But if you listen to the interviews he did, that, like, he was talking about the games. I think it's the media's too stuck on the Rock part. So he's trying to get people to look at the game where people are too stuck on it being in. So I think he's doing the right thing in, like, talking about the game, not talking about himself.
Okay.
I mean, the only part that
he's trying his best. Well, I'm saying is who's running this website is definitely somebody The Rock talks to, is what I'm trying to say, dude.
Yeah.
And like, look at this. I get what you're saying. Like, The Rock's trying his best and he's doing a million things, but it shouldn't be this hard to get to what happened with the scores. Like, like, why is this the opening page? Some picture with you and whoever the fuck these people are? Nobody cares.
It's
I don't know.
Owners.
I don't know. Okay, all right, fair enough. But then, like these headlines. There's 2 headlines about what actually happened. One of them is a podcast.
They.
I don't like it, Dan. Why is none of this about what just happened? It's like, get to know Rod Woodson. That's preseason shit you post there. And then right into gear. I just hate the way this site is run so far. This is amateur.
Yeah, no, they only have an article about the first game that they played, and that's about it. Yeah.
Wait, so hold on. That blog is really only about the first game?
Yeah, it's
week 1 blog.
Sights and sounds of the.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is only about that first game.
Well, actually, it looks like it might.
No, okay, all right. They talk about all of them. All right, good times. They talk about all of them.
It's
that's
not
fine.
Up right
and like, dude, they're trying to. But I'm just saying, like, blast your players, because everyone knows these people watch sports sometimes because of a player you like or the team you like. So you want people to buy into it. You gotta tell them who the hell we're watching.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I'm just hoping they do well. That's why I'm excited about this. But anyway, let's get to the main plate. Dan, tell us all about this, man. My boy Ben DiNucci, he had this game, Dan. He had it in his little DiNucci hands, and then it slipped away.
He played very well. He was looking really good. You can see he probably had the best passing yards. But he had 2 costly interceptions. DC really wasn't.
And a fumble, right?
Very well. I was going to get there. But yeah, he did have a fumble. But DC defense was doing pretty well. They left gaps out there in terms of people getting on the backside, so they did give up some big chunk plays. But But they did settle down, and honestly, like a lot of the times when they needed their defense to, stand up, like they did.
It did seem like that, especially in that second half. It seems like they really were able to stop them, get them off the field.
Yeah, their second half, that defense is really what saved them in terms of keeping that game alive for them. Because like there's points that it kind of looked like they were going to get away from them, and if that happened, then it was going to be a long day for them.
Right.
But I mean, Josh Gordon looked okay.
Did he? Or did he look all old?
He went at his blazing speed. I think he still has time to get up to that. But he did have a touchdown. I think what worked well for Seattle in terms of him was that people were probably too worried about him getting open that it opened up the other guys. So I think that was playing to their benefit. And like I said, their running game, definitely was looking pretty good in terms of what I was seeing from a lot of teams last week. They didn't have staggering rushing numbers, but it was just, they were getting the big runs when they needed it, and that's where I think we kind of saw a difference there compared to a lot of the other teams. But also, DC did a good job running the ball as well. So, we'll see there. But yeah, DiNucci ended up fumbling on the 1 yard line to end the game.
Oof. Yeah, he did. Which would have won the game, right?
It would have won the game for him, yeah. They stuffed him up the middle, and when he went into the pile, he got the ball.
I saw the play. He it was almost butt fumble number 2 if you look at it from a certain angle, but it does look like he kind of just got hit and it bounced out. But yeah, man, not a good look for your boy Ben. Like he really almost had this as like a hero game, and then instead just completely shot the bag. It's a bummer for him.
Now, I do want to talk about the real story of the game now. The real story of the XFL last week.
Was what?
So back in 2020, DC finished. I actually went to a game in 2020. I saw St. Louis and DC play each other. It was the last thing I did. Like, this was March 8th, and like March 9th or 10th, they announced COVID was shutting the world down.
Right.
So this is literally the last thing I did before COVID. But every DC Defenders game, they made a beer snake. Do you know what a beer snake is?
No.
So you take your empty cups and you start stacking them together.
Okay.
And it just trails up the section. And I mean, this thing was like literally like halfway, 3/4 of the length of a section. Like, it's huge. It was awesome. Like, I remember they carried this thing out of the stadium. Like, it was awesome. But like the XFL promoted it, like they put it on their social media, which is smart because it's like,
yeah, why not?
It's not exactly promoting drinking. I get where people are going to take that angle.
Sure.
But it's a plastic cup. It's a clear plastic cup that doesn't say beer on it, so it could be empty water cups for all they know.
Exactly. Hydrating ourselves.
But that being said, though, they were using it as an advertising tool because it's like, look how much fun people are having.
Smart.
So we come into week 1. They start making them again. I was not in that section. They started making it, and the security was going in and taking them. Like they were allowing it to happen. And so it turned into a whole cat and mouse game, the whole game. And it got to the point that they were booing the security every time they took the beer snake. And at one point, they started throwing. There was this mixed drink with literally a half of a lemon in it, and they started throwing it on the field. So there was chunks of lemons being thrown on the field, like they hit players on the field, like.
Wow.
Lemons.
Full on riot, huh?
Oh yeah, over the beer stick, yeah.
Wow, they were really mad about it.
Like they actually stopped. Like they had to stop the game at one point, because when they hit the player, they had to put a message up to say stop. But I mean, this place was just getting rowdy.
Wow.
But we did see though after the game, getting back to a comment earlier, the announced attendance was like 12,000-13,000. So like they played in a 20,000 venue. So it was a pretty good turnout, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I was expecting.
Yeah, what's that, like almost 60-70% of capacity? Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, before I even saw that number, just visually looking at, like, looking at the crowd waiting outside, watching people come in, watching around. Like I could tell, like it was going to be a decent sized crowd. Like the full stadium wasn't open. They didn't do the upper deck opposite to us, but it's kind of like a U-bowl and it's detached. It's on the other side, but I was very impressed with the numbers that we saw.
Huh. Well, good, man. I think it's good strides for the XFL. Tough time for your boy Ben DiNucci. What do you have to say, though, about Mr. Jordan Tahamo? Hamo.
Yeah,
Quite a game out of him, kind of.
He was actually on St. Louis last time they were in this.
Oh, was he?
But, I mean, he was looking good. He did struggle to get the ball out in timely situations. He had stalled the offense several times. I mean, granted, by seeing that he only had 86 yards of passing, he did, and he had an interception. He did sort of get benched for King, but they were running like option plays with both of them in the game. And honestly, one of the biggest things that really killed TC was their penalties. They kept getting a bunch of false starts. Like it was just killing drives. And it's tough to start a drive when you're like first and 15 or second and 15 so often. So it cost them a couple times for that. So one of them took them out of field goal range. But I think it'll be interesting to see where they go with their quarterback in similar situations. Orlando, they could really go either way. I think King has better mobility than Jordan. So they want to try an offense around a mobile quarterback. That's the way to go. But I do think Jordan has the better arm when he actually is able to get it out on time.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm a little surprised that they are able to do anything. I mean, they didn't even run the ball that much, so it's kind of like I guess they only had like 100 or something yards on offense total. But I guess their defense just held it down.
No, yeah, like I said, their defense really held it down. And that was like they flashed the stats at the end of the game. But, Seattle had over 330 yards of offense, or total yards, with TC and just under 200. So, like, on paper, Seattle should have won this game. Their numbers were just staggeringly better. They had about 25 more plays on offense, more first downs, and it is what it is, right?
That's football, man. That's football. You gotta finish. You gotta not turn over the ball. You gotta, do all these things.
It's football, and the penalty, the timely turnovers that TC got put them deep in their own zone, so it turned into scoring situations. But yeah, DC had 7 penalties against them.
Oof.
Seattle had 4, but still 7 penalties. And the majority of them were false starts. That's a lot to overcome.
For sure.
The part is DC has never lost a home game in 2020. Now this year.
Let's go, boys. I might buy into the DC Defenders. I'm a free agent. I'm kind of liking the Battlehawks, though. It's a kind of cool name. They're the closest one to me right now.
Cool. It is a cool name.
Well, they're on the road right now, and they're going to have to take on the Sea Dragons. They're going to take on Mr. DiNucci at home. So we'll see how that goes. The Defenders have a good chance.
That's actually a Thursday night game.
That's a Thursday night game, huh? Ooh.
Yeah. They have some weeknight games.
Oh, that's right. I might be snowboarding this Thursday, but I could probably watch it afterwards. And then DC is on the road against the Vipers. You worried about that? You think they got the Vipers? I'd take them against the Vipers.
No, I feel good about that one.
Yeah.
And I would expect San Antonio to take care of Orlando.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the Roughnecks and the Renegades, the 2 Houston teams are gonna throw down. So wait, hold on. We got
3 Texas teams.
What the fuck, dude? Why? You feel like, dude? We got 8 teams and 3 of them are from fucking Texas? Christ, boys.
Yeah, but dude, they're so spread out that they're not eating each other.
Fair enough. That's crazy.
I mean, they all sell well, so that's like the good part.
Well, I mean, like, why is nobody like exploiting these other markets, like Alabama? Like, besides the fucking college team, they got nobody out there.
Yeah, they do. They have a USFL team there in Birmingham.
Oh, right, and they just won the fucking championship. Look at that.
So they won.
Well, they won last year.
Want to touch that.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, they
right.
won't
All
want
right,
to
fair
touch
enough.
that.
That's a good point.
Well, the surprising part is the
What about
USFL got rid. Well, the USFL got rid of Tampa last year and put them in Memphis, which was also an old USFL team.
lots of both city teams failed on Tampa is what you're about to say.
Tampa, yeah. But the surprising part now, here's the difference though. The USFL is not the USFL is not putting everybody in their home cities like the XFL does. So Houston does have a USFL team, but they're not playing in Houston. I think that's why they get away with it because,
Because it's technically because they all play all the games in Alabama, right?
Well, they changed it now, so it's Philly and Michigan play at Ford Field, the Lions Stadium. Yeah, and then Pittsburgh and New Jersey play at Canton, Ohio. Birmingham and New Orleans play in Birmingham, Alabama, and Houston and Memphis play in Memphis, Tennessee. So they moved to 4 cities now. Where yes, last year they all played in Birmingham. So they're starting to push it out a little bit. So at least four of the 8 teams are playing in their host or their regular marked hometown. So that's good to help spread it a little bit.
For sure.
But I think they're creeping out. Whereas now, here's the interesting part about the XFL. These guys all actually live in Arlington. So they only go out a day or two before the games to where they're playing. And then they all come back to Arlington, Texas and practice there. So they have a whole training facility at, I believe, the Arlington team stadium is where they practice all. So then they go back out. So in a way, they're kind of doing a similar thing as the USFL, but I like that the XFL has all their teams in their market because when they finally leave them there to practice and do whatever, like you're already established there.
Yeah.
I feel like, the Houston.
That's how you do it. It's so weird the way the USFL is doing it. I guess they're saving some costs right now, which makes sense too.
Double up, right. I mean, aside from San Antonio, really San Antonio, St. Louis, and Seattle are the largest XFL stadiums. They all play in the current or former NFL homes. Sorry, San Antonio was never an NFL stadium, but it would have passed. I know they played preseason games there, and Arlington plays in a renovated baseball stadium. So their seats 40-some thousand. But yeah, Houston's playing at a college stadium, not that big. Orlando's playing at a college stadium. DC's playing at an MLS stadium. So I think they're doing the right thing with a lot of them. They're getting them in the smaller ones, let them grow into it. Because I did read in 2020 that there was looks that they were going to put the DC Defenders at the FedEx Field where the Commanders play. That went by the wayside. So I think it was a better move to go into the Aldi. It's called Aldi Field. Because until you can sell 20 out regularly, there's no reason to be in something larger.
True. that makes absolute sense. Well, moving on to another small yet amazing league that we cover here on Sports by Compian is Major League Rugby, who had their first week as well. Were you able to catch some of these games here, Dan?
I missed opening night with the Atlanta game, the New Orleans game. So unfortunately, I haven't even watched the highlights on that one, but I did watch the Old Glory, the Chicago game. I saw part of the San Diego game, and I peeked at the Dallas game for about a second while I was at the XFL game on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Funny enough, the Dallas rugby team plays in the same venue as the Arlington Renegades. They share a stadium.
Really?
Yes, if you go back and watch the highlights, you can see the XFL field still painted down during their game.
Nice. I think I do remember that, actually, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I from what I've read, and stuff, New England picked right back up off where they were last year. The defending champions, and they took care of business there. New Orleans is typically one of the better teams there, but can't win them all right. So it was nice to see them there. Like I said, I watched a lot of the DC game. It was a completely different DC game or team from what we saw last year. They won 3 games last year, and they were just god awful. Even their wins were not the best things. I get that Chicago's the new team in the MLR, but they also got a lot of their players from the 2 teams that folded. So it's like not 100%, a brand new team. I guess these guys have to play together, gel together. But, it's not like the other 2 teams are still in. That being said, Chicago still looks really great. I think there's a lot of promise there. I think they'll be contenders in the coming weeks. And I'm not saying they're going to get playoffs, but you'll see some quality ball out of them. San Diego, absolutely, from what I watched of that, I watched about the first half or so before they took it off. They switched channels on me. But San Diego was just running all over Utah. And I was surprised because Utah is generally one of the better teams in the league, but they could not stop San Diego if their life depended on it. Which, by the way, San Diego got a new stadium. They're playing in the new San Diego State Stadium that's on the grounds of the old Chargers Stadium. And they said they announced that they had like 11.5 there. So, that's a really good turnout for a rugby match, yeah.
For sure. Well, yeah, I didn't see a lot of these games either. I had myself a pretty busy weekend. But I did manage to see the highlights of the Atlanta-Toronto game. This was 17-0 for, most of the game. No, 17-3 for, most of the game. And then Toronto kind of broke away and got a last-minute try to put themselves... No, you know what? It really was 17-0, and then they got those extra 10 points kind of towards the end there. So a little chink in the Atlanta armor, but otherwise a pretty dominant game for them. They couldn't quite get as many tries as they wanted to, obviously, but, good for them. They're definitely one of the better teams, and they're hitting their stride already. For Toronto, the fact that they managed to get those last-minute tries and you kept 7 with a very good Atlanta team, this is a good step for them as a team. The NOLA Gold, definitely got blown out by the Free Jackets, who arguably look like the best team out there in the East, and then ended up kind of getting beat by New York in the playoffs, but they're definitely off to a hot start. I missed the Chicago game, which was disappointing. I think I was snowboarding with Mike for his birthday, but we had I saw the highlights on it. Sorry about that, people. But basically, it looked like you said, old DC just looked dangerous, man. And they got that one scrum half. Dude has great hair and just is so fast. It just flies around
all over the field.
Chicago starts off with an early error, not catching the kickoff, and it leads to an early DC try. And I think the momentum just kind of shifted on them a little bit at that point.
Yeah.
They did stay in the game, like you said. They didn't get completely blown out. They managed to get some tries, keep it somewhat competitive. I will be at their home opener this next weekend, so that should be interesting. We'll be able to give you guys a full report on that.
I'm trying to get down to a DC game soon.
Nice. I didn't even see the San Diego-Utah game, but it looks like Utah is struggling to tackle San Diego, which, not surprising, San Diego was really good last year as well.
Like I said, from what I saw, they were getting it out of rucks, out of strong stuff outs and out to the wing. It was some textbook passing.
Weren't they in the West Championship last year and lost to Seattle?
Yeah, they lost to Seattle in the finals, I think.
That's what I think, too.
Or in the conference final, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. And then, all right, so this New York-Seattle game, I'll say real quick what I saw of it. I walked into a bar who had the last 15 minutes played. It was actually pretty cool. I was like, what are the chances that a Rockford bar just happens to have Major League Rugby played? But I guess when there's nothing else on, is that the craziest thing to assume?
Yeah, no, it was cool that they opened the season against each other again after finishing off.
Really cool.
Good move. Championship.
Good move by Major League Rugby. Get some excitement for your first week of, and they put on a good game. This score is a little deceiving because it was 15-11. 19-11 for like a huge portion of that last little couple 15 minutes. So Dan, I pulled up though the try that sealed this game, sent it away into the next dimension. So here we go, last 4 minutes. New York is desperate. They need the ball, trying to get it. This guy here. Are you seeing this, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Look at this fucking kick. God damn. God, what are you doing in such reckless hate, dude? That kick was nasty. That was nasty. This is way too far. Yeah, let's just see if they show the replay there. But man, it's just kicks it right on through, and great chase. You know, the kick is only as good as the chase, right? So, you know, great job by him getting all the way over there. But you can see how they're opening it up with their offense. Their fucking perfect pass by their big lock there. Kind of a tough move by 23 that he wasn't able to post the ball there, but he did ultimately lose. 6 gets over, covers, nasty kick. And then, yeah, this guy just hauls ass, man. He beat the hell out of that 15. It was a fly half. So, yeah, that's pretty much what was a dagger for New York. And otherwise, very competitive game. That's why I think the score doesn't quite show how close this game was. New York did have a pretty nice try with they put the lead trier number. Anyway, dude had a nice little try out there on the outside, you know, pass back and forth. But ultimately, Seattle looked like the better team throughout most of the game. They kind of took the lead early and kept it, and yeah, sort of kept New York in check. So we'll see what happens. Seattle's definitely looking good. I mean, they have 2 championships already. They've been to one last year. They are probably one of the better teams here in the North, if not the best team in Major League Rugby so far.
No, I think you can easily call them the best team, just based off of history.
Right, just based on history. And then, yeah, here we go. Dallas and Houston. Dallas still looking for their first win. They didn't find it today, Dan. The Houston SaberCats handed them a good old beating. I'm curious if my boy Raheem was able to get on the field. Let's have a see. Would have been 1 or 2. Am I looking at the right team? Yeah, I am. Raheem was not even a replacement. Well, that's why they lost. You know what I'm saying, Dan?
Yeah, I mean they're unfortunately just still struggling. Hopefully they'll get something together this year.
Well, maybe start Raheem or at least put him in your fucking replacements, and then you might not be struggling so much. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, one would hope that they're not going to go 0-16 again. So
I was just going to ask you, who do you think is better between them and Chicago? But it seems like you're leaning Chicago based on that they have a bunch of the players from LA Galaxy and
Austin. Yeah. They got a handful of those guys. I mean, yeah. At this point, I think I would probably throw my bet on Chicago at this point.
Well, I think they're playing this year, so we'll find out. Dallas is coming to Chicago, and I have a ticket for the game. Anyway, so yeah. Major League Rugby is officially back, dude. They're doing another season. I'm pretty excited about it myself. It's good to see some U.S. rugby out there happening.
And they're doing a good job getting good TV coverage. A lot of teams have signed pretty good regional partners as well as the national levels to get the exposure out there, because that's what they needed. They needed both of them. DC just signed one right before the season started with they're on NBC Sports Washington and Masson, and Masson carries the Orioles in the national, so that's a very large scope that they get to be on up and down the East Coast, up into PA through North Carolina. So they're getting the right deals out there to get odds.
Good.
On the product.
Well, we shall help them out with a couple much coverage as we can here by Sports by Compian. But Seattle Seawolves are going to travel to Atlanta, dude. This is going to be a heck of a game. That's probably the game of the week right there. Who do you got for that one? I want to go with the underdog with Atlanta here. I don't know why, but why not?
I'm taking Seattle on that one.
Yeah. Not to say it's not a good pick there, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Atlanta's going to have a much tougher challenge than they faced last week. Utah is probably going to roll into town, get themselves right after a tough first week against the Dallas Jackals. Do you agree, Dan?
Yeah, I'll take Utah.
Yeah, Dallas is probably going to have to look elsewhere for their first win. Houston Sabres rolling into NOLA Gold. This should be a good game as well. I'm gonna go Houston SaberCats here. They've been pretty frisky, since last year. I think they're kind of on par with NOLA Gold, but it should be a good game actually.
Yeah, no, I mean they've been playing well. Like I said, New Orleans is, I think, in a little bit weird spot. I'm not saying they're gonna be stuck, but I'd still want to take Houston on that one, especially. I get that it was Dallas, but they still looked really good against Dallas.
And then we got New York and and Toronto. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, that one's gonna. I think that's gonna be a tough one. That one, New York's coming off a championship, but they both scored about a similar amount of points. Let's see. But you know what? I'll give New York their due. First one of the game since winning the title.
I definitely think they're going to right the ship after their loss here against Seattle. I think they rally against Toronto, who is not going to. I mean, Toronto's looking decent. Maybe they're going to pull off an upset, but I definitely think New York got it. So is Chicago sitting out this week? I thought they were playing their home opener. I am totally wrong. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think DC is also out this week.
Interesting. Yeah, DC is out this week. They already have a bye week, huh? I guess they probably get a couple bye weeks, though, right?
They do, yeah.
Okay. All right, so San Diego Legion taking on the Free Jackets. That's another incredible game, Dan.
I mean, yeah, that one's going to be a good one.
So if there's two that are worth seeing, it's the San Diego and Free Jackets and probably that top one, Atlanta and Seattle. But yeah, I'm sorry, who are you taking for this one?
I'm going to take New England on the road.
New England's at home.
No, they're on the road.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So it doesn't necessarily matter where they line that up, I see. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, they follow the English rules where they put one left.
I'm going to agree with that. I think New England is a frisky team. They're pissed about how it ended up in the playoffs last year, and I think they're looking to establish themselves. So they're going to have their hands full with San Diego Legion, though. That's for sure. Dan, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But before we do, I did want to let the people know that all the talent in the world won't take you anywhere without your teammates. So reach out to those teammates in your life, whether you're actually on a team or whether it just be your parents, other people you know. We all have teammates out there in life. And if you reach out to them and let them help you and you help them, you're all going to get further together. Sports by Compian. Out.